Hello everyone, welcome to Coffee Talk with True Blonde Mom. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I talk about frugal living and cooking some really good food, and I also like to focus on mental and emotional wellness. So if those topics interest you, then please hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you join and get updates regularly through the notification bell. Also, I would love it if you would give this video a thumbs up. So today is part 3 of my 3-part series on stress management and increasing your quality of life. Now, I've done part 1 and part 2 already, and so you can already check those videos out. I will leave links to those in the description box. And today is the part 3. And one of the things that I've done today, I'm actually filming this on Good Friday, which once I'm done with work today, I am on vacation for the next 10 days, and it's going to be marvelous. One thing I did was I showered and, brushed the hair. I didn't do any makeup today. I put on my moisturizer, and I'm having like a au naturel kind of day. To me, that helps me lower my stress. There's not a lot of people working today. I work from home, so we're all on computers, communicating, and we really don't have to show our faces. But even if I do, I'm okay with that. Some days you just have to be comfortable in your own skin. And today for me is one of those days. I have a lot to do when I'm done with work, and I just didn't feel like doing the makeup thing. So that's one of the things I'm doing today. So let's get into this video so you can learn 20 more ways to reduce your stress and increase your quality of life. Number 1 is to learn how to simplify your meals. Now, there's a lot of information on YouTube about meal planning. You can certainly meal plan. I do enjoy meal planning, but I'm not a stickler for it. I try and plan like a couple of days at a time. And one of the ways I've simplified my meals is to, let's say I'm having a meat, for example. I'll buy enough or cook enough up to last for a couple of days, and I just add one vegetable or one side per day to kind of change it up. My mom used to do that growing up. I never really understood that's what she did, because I remember looking in the refrigerator and thinking, oh my gosh, we don't have anything to eat. And she could come home and pull out this smorgasbord of food, and you would wonder, where did she get that from? Well, later in life, I learned that's what she did. That was her trick. If she made a chicken and rice dish, we would have that for a couple of days. We would have the vegetables that she made, and every day she would add a new vegetable until the meat was gone, and then she would make a new batch of that. And so that was a really clever way for her to use up what she had. And my mom, to this day, is the most frugal person I've ever known. She grew up as a Depression baby, and as you know, people who lived through that time were extremely frugal. Even as adults, they never forgot that experience. And she knew how to use up everything in the refrigerator. And after we had it a few days, if nobody really wanted it, it became a soup pot mixture in the freezer. And one day she would make homemade soup with it. So we really never had scraps to throw out. We had livestock that we could have fed the scraps to, but my mom was just extremely frugal in that way. And I think simplifying your meals can definitely remove a lot of stress from your life. Even mono meals. Some people are doing mono meals now, or maybe just one protein and a vegetable. Do things that are simple, do things that are steamable, do things that are easy to pull together. I love to cook, but after working all day, I don't want to do it for several hours in the kitchen. So simplify your meals and figure out a way that works for you, that can add value and nutrition to your life, but that reduces the amount of time you're in the kitchen making it. Number two is to repair things that don't work properly. Of course, you may not be mechanically inclined like myself. Although there are some things I can do and I have learned to do through YouTube, it's important that you don't let things go that need repairing, because chances are it's just going to get worse and eventually you may have to replace the item. So if you find that you have a mechanical issue with an appliance in your home, see what you can learn on your own, but if it really becomes too much of a hassle or too overwhelming, seek a professional. Seek someone local in your community that can come and maybe for, 40, $50 can give you a diagnosis and tell you what your next steps should be. We recently did that with a dryer that we had, and the guy was very honest and upfront and charged us $50 and basically said, if I were you, I can repair your dryer, but at the end of the day, you're going to have a couple $100 invested in a 17-year-old dryer. So think about that. So we were able to go find a used dryer for, I think it was $250, and it works like a dream, and the man hauled off the old dryer. So that was a great investment of $50 to not later have headaches from an old appliance. Number three is be prepared for rain. And that's a pretty simple thing to think about, but how often are we caught in a rainstorm without an umbrella? So I try and keep things like that in the car. I give my daughter an umbrella to keep in her backpack, and I keep some in the house. I try not to be, caught in the rain. Sometimes that might be fun and sound fun in poems and so forth, but it can also make you a wet, miserable mess. So one way to decrease your stress is to always be prepared for that. Same with snow or any kind of, sudden change in the weather that can make you uncomfortable or make you have to change your clothes. Just be prepared. Number four is be aware of decisions that you make. That just means being mindful of what you're doing. So you don't want to ever make decisions when you're in a stressed out mode, when you've had little sleep, when you're emotionally not in a good place. Maybe you haven't eaten in 5-6 hours and you're really hungry and you've got that start of a headache that happens when your blood sugar's really low. And it's not really a good time to make a decision then. Go eat something or go take a nap or wait until you're rested to make major decisions. But even small decisions, sometimes we make them and we're not really in the best place to do that. And later it can come back to bite you. So just be aware of the decisions that you make and be aware of your mindset at the time that you're making them. That alone will decrease a lot of your stress. Number five is visualize yourself winning. And this is kind of a new concept that I've heard about recently, but it's something you can easily do when you meditate. Lately, I've been using the Headspace app through my work. I also have it downloaded on my phone. It's a free app, and it just guides you through a 3-minute meditation, and you can do that as frequently as you want. But one of the times that you're doing the meditation, it's okay to think about things, and they tell you that. And so you can visualize yourself winning during that time, and that will be a perfect time to do that. There is some belief that if you see yourself winning, that it helps propel you towards that goal, whatever that goal is. So look at yourself and visualize you achieving whatever it is you want to achieve. And by doing that, it may help propel you towards that goal. Number 6, and this is something I think we can all agree on here, is don't let yourself get into heated discussions on social media platforms. How many times have you seen someone post something and then someone come behind them and start an argument? I've seen it on every social media platform that there is. I've even seen it in community pages where it's supposed to be about providing information to the community and being helpful. But people love to express their opinions, and they love to tell other people that their opinions are wrong. Don't let yourself go down that rabbit hole. If you see yourself bubbling up inside, then it's best to kind of walk away from that. Don't get involved in a heated discussion with someone that doesn't really matter. You don't know them. Why do you care what they think? It's easy to get sucked in, but we have to be big girls and big boys and walk away and just realize that's not a healthy place for us to go. It's not good for our mental health or our physical health. Certainly not good if we're trying to manage our stress. So be sure to avoid those altercations from people that want to infuriate you. I do believe there are people out there, especially on YouTube, they're known as trolls. And even some of the greatest channels that I follow talk about trolls. And I don't really understand that mindset of someone that they have all the time in the world to just say something negative about what you're doing. So just block, delete, move on. Get out of a group if you're finding that it's that way. I've removed myself from groups that I felt like, were always infuriating people for some reason or another. That's just not the kind of thing I want to be involved in, and so I got out of it, plain and simple. So think about that. Think about your mental health, and if the groups and things you're involved in on social media are truly serving you in the right way. Number 7 is to simply dance, move. Get up and move your body to some music. Even if you're not a dancer per se, it's always fun to just listen to music, let it take you where it wants to go, and just move your body to it. That can be any kind of music as long as you're moving. So if you find that you're kind of down in the dumps, turn on some favorite music, get in your kitchen, and see if you don't feel like moving a little. It'll lift your spirits. Number 8 is listen to relaxing music. So it's been shown that listening to relaxing music that is more meditative in nature, can significantly reduce your stress. And I have a visitor here, Rudy. Hi, Rudy. Rudy is really good at reducing my stress. My little dog. So yeah, listening to music is a wonderful thing. I've actually started practicing at work. I listen to focus music, and it's just really pretty harpsichord music. Makes me feel like I'm at a spa, to be honest with you, and I love that. And it helps me focus. It helps me get more accomplished. I feel like just having that background music is just very beneficial for my productivity. You could also do that when you're ready to go to bed at night, or you could use an app like the Calm app or the Headspace app that I mentioned. Both of those are great if you struggle with sleep issues and you just have a hard time winding down at night. We need to find ways to make our bedrooms and the room that we sleep in more conducive to sleep and less, conducive to doing other things like work. We need to have our bedrooms made for sleep. So do things to help you relax so you can get a good night's rest. Number 9 is to read a book. That can be in bed or your favorite comfy chair. We should all be constantly learning. That's really good for our mental health. It's definitely good for our stress reduction. I try and always have a book with me. It doesn't mean I read it every day, but I try to always have a book in the car. I have one by my favorite chair. I love to just take a few minutes and read a paragraph or two, or sometimes a page or two. Sometimes, I have some books that I'm saving on my phone through Audible, and I'll read a chapter or two. Just always have something available because it's very calming and centering to the mind to read. Number 10 is to do a brand new thing. Now, when you do new things, it creates new neural pathways in your brain. So I highly recommend that you try something new, whether it be a new hobby, whether it be stepping outside your comfort zone and trying to fix something. Whatever it is, when you try something new, that helps the inner workings of your brain. And that in turn will help lower your stress. It should also help you a little bit in terms of making decisions and all the things that go along with cognitive abilities. So doing a brand new thing really helps your brain. Try it, doesn't matter what it is, just go outside your comfort zone and try something new. Number 11 is to stop a bad habit. I think when we hear that word bad habits, we mostly think of things like smoking or gambling or drinking too much. Those are definitely habits that can get you into trouble. So if you're struggling with a bad habit, it could also be biting your nails. I know a lot of people bite their nails, and that's a bad habit. There are definitely programs available and books and all sorts of resources to help you quit doing something if you follow the program. I think that's the kicker. You have to follow a program. And it generally takes 21 days to get rid of a habit or adapt a new habit. So give yourself some grace and some patience and do what you need to do so that you can stop a bad habit that may be causing you a lot of stress, and you may not even realize that. Number 12 is to find support from others. So that could be friends, family, online support groups, whatever the case may be, church. We all need to have support from people. It doesn't have to be a lot of people. You don't need 50 friends. You don't need to be in 10 different groups. But it's important that you have some source of support out there. And if you're a person who, for whatever reason, does not have that, I would encourage you to look at your local community and get involved in things that could help cultivate some new relationships with people, because we all need support. I don't have a lot of friends, but I have a few close friends that I can share anything with. And we may go 6 months or 8 months and not talk to each other, and we can then pick right back up where we left off. That's just the understanding. We're all busy. We all have kids. And so you just have to forgive people, especially if they've kind of went missing in action for a while. But it is important to have a support system. Number 13 is a pretty basic one, and that is to get enough sleep. We all need more sleep. The average night of sleep for most people is between 7 to 9.5 hours, somewhere in between there. I personally do best at 8, but I often get just under 7. So it's important to kind of find that sweet spot that you can rely on for the best night's rest, to make you the most productive and energetic. But it's important to get a good night's sleep. And if you're not getting a good night's sleep, don't struggle in misery forever. I think that many people have sleep disorders that never get diagnosed because they never sought that out. If you really are struggling, I would highly discuss it with your physician, because you could have some sort of, true sleep disorder. I myself was diagnosed with one at 42, and, getting treatment for that made a world of difference. So don't toss and turn night after night after night. It has a cumulative effect, not getting enough rest. So it's best to seek out a professional and talk to them and see if maybe you have something else going on that's causing you to not sleep. Number 14 is to always have a plan B. Always have a plan B. You're never sure if plan A is going to work out. We hope for the best, but it's always best to have a backup plan, just in case. Even if you haven't written it down, just think about a plan B. Always have a plan B. That way you're never caught off guard. Number 15, feed the birds. Who doesn't love feeding sweet little beautiful birds? You can start with a hummingbird feeder if you've never done that before, or you can just simply go to a park and scatter some bird seed and watch the birds. Birds are extremely tranquil to watch and observe. We have a couple of feeders right outside my kitchen window that I enjoy watching when they are, flying around in the warmer months. And we do feed them, and it's comforting and soothing to watch them. Number 16, if you haven't already, start a list of things you're grateful for. Having a gratitude list is hugely impactful in your life. It will change your outlook. It will definitely change your stress level, because it's really easy to get caught up in commercialism and what the world says is successful. That may not equate to what you really believe in, or your value system and what it says is successful. So make a gratitude list. It can be very basic as hot water. Hot water, not everyone has that. Um, Air conditioning, central heat, not everybody has that. I didn't grow up in a home with central heat or air. And I remember in the winters having such cold winters and having to bathe, like a bird bath from water being heated on the stove because our pipes would freeze. And I remember when I was little, I thought, when I grow up, I am not going to live in a house that, doesn't have the right whatever so that I can have hot water at all times. I appreciate a hot shower to this day. It's kind of like therapeutic for me, and I think it comes from that place where I was a child and didn't always have hot running water. We always had water. It may just not have always been hot. So I look back at my childhood. I think so many things about our life stem from our childhood, and I really appreciate having those small little luxuries. But make your gratitude list. It can be whatever you want to, and it can change from day to day. But it's important that we're mindful of all the blessings that we have. And being mindful of that is definitely going to change your stress level and increase your quality of life. Number 17, be responsible for your own feelings. Do you know people that don't like to take ownership of their feelings? Have you ever had interactions with them? Yeah, it kind of sucks, doesn't it? So, we all need to be responsible for ourselves and our feelings and take ownership. If we've wronged someone, right the wrong, apologize. But be responsible for your own feelings and your own words. What you say to someone can do detrimental things to them. So let's all be a little more introspective and accountable. And by doing so, it's going to decrease your stress and increase your quality of life. Too many people like to be, what my mom used to say, have loose lips. And they just say whatever comes to mind, and they don't think about the consequences. They don't think if it's going to be hurtful. So just be mindful. Think about what you're saying before it comes out of your mouth, because you never know who may be affected by your words. So let's just be mindful. Let's be, kind, and let's definitely learn how to be responsible for our feelings. Number 18, learn to meet your own needs. And, there's a lot of things we could say about that. That may be an entirely new video that I do at some place down the line. But it's important that we learn to take care of ourselves, that we become aware of what our needs really are, and not expect other people to meet those needs. I think this is a process. I don't think this happens overnight. So give yourself some time to learn what your needs are and figure out ways to meet them. And I know for a lot of people, it's being alone. They really struggle with being alone and going places alone and doing things alone. If you've reached a point where you're comfortable being alone and going and doing things alone, you're doing really well. Sometimes we just feel like we have to have somebody with us. I've reached a point where I love being alone. I appreciate my alone time, and I have no problems going out in public and eating alone or visiting a store alone. I actually find it kind of therapeutic. I can do my own thing. But again, that is a process. When I was younger, probably not. I wasn't there. But we do have to learn to meet our own needs. We need to learn what's important. We need to know how we can meet our needs. And that goes along with, eventually becoming actualized, if you follow the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Number 19 is to know your limits and let others know them too. So here we want to talk about setting boundaries and healthy boundaries. And it's okay that you have boundaries. That's actually good for you. It's also okay to let other people know what your boundaries are. Don't be guilted into doing something you really don't want to do, you don't have time to do, you have no interest in, it's just going to drain you. It's okay to have a healthy boundary and set that boundary and let someone else know that, I appreciate your offer, but that just isn't something that really I feel like I would benefit from, and I would rather take my time and do other things. You can have a lot of reasons, but it's just important that you know your own limits, and it's okay to share them with other people who might be testing those limits. Number 20 is spend time alone. And this kind of goes back to learning to meet your own needs. I think you have to spend time alone in order to meet your own needs. And, I love my time alone. It's few and far between, but I love my time alone. Now, I wouldn't want to be alone constantly, probably, but I love my time alone. It gives me time to think and ponder and plan. As a mom, you always are needed. So, having time alone is a luxury. And just enjoy it, relish it, enjoy it. I had one friend who I remember years ago, we both have children the same age. Every birthday, what she wanted to do was go away and be by herself on her birthday because she appreciated that time. And she usually would go to the beach and just get a hotel room, stay for the weekend. And she said that she found it very refreshing and motivating because she got to escape from everything and just be yourself and do whatever she wanted to do. So spend time alone. It's very therapeutic. You can learn a lot about yourself, and you definitely will be able to manage your stress a lot better. I have 2 bonus tips that I'm going to share with you today, and one of those is, if you haven't already done so, start a savings and an emergency fund account. It's really important to save for a rainy day. It's really important that we have financial goals that we're trying to meet. And of course, starting an emergency fund is going to help you alleviate stress, because when something happens, not if, but when, because it's going to happen, you will be financially prepared for it, and you won't have to wonder where the money's coming from. You can start small. You can start with 5% or maybe 10% of each paycheck. Just go ahead and put it in an account and don't touch it, and watch it build. You will find that over time you will want to contribute more, because there's some safety and there's some security in knowing that you have some backup cash if you need it for hard times, for an emergency, and it gives you a peace of mind that you don't have if you don't have that. So start a savings account and an emergency fund, and let your financial goals be one of those ones that you really work on and you stick to. And this last tip, number 22, is to change your mindset so that you can take control of your own narrative in life. And by that, I mean, do things that are only beneficial for you. Think thoughts that are beneficial for you. Take control of all the things that you're able to be in control of in your life, so that you're writing your own life story. You're writing your own life story, and ever how you want it to go is really up to you. I often use the term, you're at the helm of your own ship. You're driving the ship. Which direction do you want it to go? We have to think about this. We have to think of life in these terms. And sure, there are times in life where we may not feel very much in control, but it's important that our mindset is always on the bigger prize, and that we reach our goals, and we let that ship navigate to wherever we want it to go. I hope you found these tips helpful, and I would love to hear your comments. Again, please feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell and give this a thumbs up. I would love to hear your comments on ways that you reduce your stress in life and increase your quality of life. And I would love to know if you've implemented any of the tips I've given thus far in my 3-part series on reducing stress. Thanks so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next video.